Well, hello from Manchester Victoria Station, welcome to another video, and today we're going to be riding the Calder Valley line, the railway line that has been plagued by overcrowding and delays. No. And unfortunately, it looks like today is going to be no different. As you can see, this platform is extremely busy. So it's looking very likely that this is going to be a very overcrowded and uncomfortable ride. The service in question is going to be the 1721 Northern service to Leeds. We're going to be going as far as Bradford interchange. Now the train is arriving, so let's really hope that we can get a seat.
These have got to get off, yeah. What's your step?
So we'll start off with some good news. We had no problems finding a seat. That's probably because we got on the relatively empty carriage. Now this train did originate in Chester, so we were expecting it to be quite a lot fuller when it arrived in Manchester. Luckily it wasn't too bad. But anyway, let's enjoy the departure. Here we pass Northern's Newton Heath Train Care Centre, located in the Newton Heath area of Manchester. Now this is the depot where Northern Class 150, 156 Sprinters and the 195 Civity trains are located. So at this point in the journey, the overcrowding on this train was awful. It was terrible and pretty uncomfortable and really quite unbearable, to be honest with you. However, we're now arriving into our first stop on this journey, Rochdale, where the overcrowding, I mean, we just could not imagine how bad we thought it was bad now. I think my reaction here says it all, really. Oh God. Oh God, Jesus. Yeah, it got really bad.
It's even worse. Yeah, that's fine.
And as if the train wasn't busy and overcrowded enough, you saw how busy the platform there at Rochdale was. They all piled onto this train. It was awful. It really, really was awful. As we head towards the Pennines and pass through Littleborough Station, the scenery really does start to pick up. Now, shortly after passing through Littleborough, we enter the Summit Tunnel, which is one of the world's oldest railway tunnels. It was constructed between 1838 and 1841 by the Manchester and Leeds Railway Company to provide a direct line between Leeds and Manchester. Now, when built, the Summit Tunnel was actually the longest railway tunnel in the world. It's located between Littleborough and Walsden, near Todmorden, and was bored just beneath the Pennines. Now, it was opened on the 1st of March 1841 with a final cost of £251,000 and 41 workers had died. Now, a fire occurred in the tunnel on the 20th of December 1984 when a freight train carrying 4-star petrol was derailed by a defective axle. Now, this was actually, at the time, a number of rail accidents within the Greater Manchester and North West area within just a matter of days. Now arriving into our next calling point, Todmorden. Now, Todmorden Station was built by the Manchester and Leeds Railway, along with all the other stations on this line, believe it or not. It was opened in March 1841 when the final portion of the main line between Manchester and Normanton through the Summit Tunnel, which we've just mentioned, was completed. It became a junction in 1849 with the opening of a branch line westwards through to Burnley, later extended to join the East Lancashire Railway, giving a direct route between here, Blackburn, Preston and Blackpool. For many years the station was actually served by express trains between Liverpool and York and local trains towards Preston, Bradford and Leeds, but then the beaching cuts happened in the 1960s and only a basic service has been retained between Leeds and Manchester Victoria. And I must say, Todmorden Station looked like a very, very nice station actually. Okay, let's have a quick update on the overcrowding and also some delays. So, at this point, overcrowding was still pretty bad. It wasn't quite as bad as it was when we left Rochdale and Manchester Victoria. The train had emptied a little bit just there at Todmorden. However, it was, the overcrowding was still really, really bad and quite unbearable still. Now, in terms of delays, we just left Todmorden Station 6 minutes late. We'd been about 5 to 6 minutes late since we left Rochdale. The train actually arrived into Manchester Victoria 2 minutes late and then increased up to 4 minutes. We're now arriving into, in my opinion, the best looking station on this line, Hebden Bridge. It's got a very heritage-y sort of feeling to it, which you'll see just now. Now, this line again, Manchester and Leeds Railway, on the line from Manchester to Normanton, So this was opened in the second section between Normanton and Hebden Bridge, opened on the 5th of October 1840. Trains arrived at Hebden Bridge from Normanton, and then passengers would then continue to Littleborough by road. This was before the Summit Tunnel section opened, and then that's when services started running all the way through. So again, Hebden Bridge, quite a popular station on this line. So the train emptied quite a bit, but then it did fill back up. So still, the overcrowding was really bad, and at this point we were still 6 minutes late.
Now we're having into our next calling point of Mythenroyd. Now, not really great deal I could find on this station, to be quite honest, other than it was opened by, believe it or not, the Manchester and Leeds Railway. May 1847, within a few weeks of this, the company became the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway. And the station was built to serve the communities of Mythenroyd and Ludden Foot. That's really, I mean, there's not really a great deal of history behind the station other than that, really. But yeah, that's Mythenroyd, everybody. Okay, as we head towards our next station then, we're just going to take a look at the delays. So at this point between Mythenroyd and Sowerby Bridge, we were actually running 7 minutes late at this point, but that is the latest the journey did get, and then we started to claw back a bit of time. Now we're having into the next station, Sowerby Bridge. Some people call it Sowerby Bridge, some people call it Sowerby Bridge. I'm going to call it Sowerby Bridge. So the original station was opened on the 5th of October 1840 by, you guessed it, the Manchester and Leeds Railway. On the 22nd of October 1903, an express passenger train collided with a light engine at the station. That was because of a signalman's error, and then another passenger train collided with the wreckage of that at a low speed. One person was killed in that incident. And then flash forward to 1978, a major fire resulted in the demolition of most of the buildings at the station by British Rail. And then new canopies were then built in 1981. Now here we merge off from the line, we go up towards Halifax and Bradford. The line down there carries on and takes some Transpennine Express services through Brighouse and on to Leeds. That part of the line is used when Transpennine Express are on diversions because of the Transpennine route upgrade, like they are at this current time when Huddersfield Station is closed. We now arrive into our next stop of Halifax. Now Halifax itself is known for being the home of Quality Streets, which is why you'll see a big massive Quality Street factory just there. But in terms of the station, the original station of Halifax was built at Shaw site approximately 460 metres or 500 yards south of the current location. It was opened on the 1st of July 1844. I'll give you 2 guesses by which company. Well done if you guessed the Manchester and Leeds Railway. Have a cookie, I don't know how you guessed that. It was built as the terminus of a branch line off of its main line from Manchester to Normanton. With the opening of the line between Halifax and Bradford on the 7th of August 1850, a new station was opened on the current site, which you see today. This had temporary wooden buildings, and then the station at Shaw Site was then extended and used as a goods depot. And the current station has seen several name changes, including Halifax Town, Halifax Old, and now just simply Halifax. We're now arriving into Lowmore Station. Now the present station is actually quite new. It opened on the 2nd of April 2017. There's 1 train per hour that serves the station in both directions, and there are also 4 direct Grand Central services to London King's Cross each day. And if anyone knows what these very interesting sculptures here are, please let me know. Okay, check a quick delay and overcrowding check. At this point we were 6 minutes late leaving Lowmore. Nothing too major, I don't think, unless you do have a tight connection, in which case that would be quite annoying. Now, in terms of overcrowding, the train had actually emptied quite a bit. So it wasn't anything too significant at this point, and the train was feeling relatively comfortable. There was still quite a few people standing, but that was in the doorway seat, so it didn't feel quite as claustrophobic. And as we now arrive into Bradford Interchange, 5 minutes behind schedule, let's sum up the journey. Now, I'm just going to say this now. This is going to be a bit of a moan and a bit of a rant, okay? Northern, where do I start? 3 carriage trains on the Blackpool North runs, 3 4-carriage trains on the Manchester Victoria runs. It's just not good enough, is it? No. I'm sorry, but it's just not, is it? You know your trains are packed and full and standing, and there doesn't really seem to be a lot being done. Now, of course, you've got to take into consideration, operational behind the scenes things. They can't always run these big massive trains, stations don't accommodate it or whatever. But I just think, you're not doing enough, Northern, about overcrowding. It's ridiculous, really, to be quite honest with you. We got on that train, Manchester Victoria. It started off in Chester. It was quite bad when it started off in Chester. Got to Manchester Victoria, obviously Manchester Victoria, the biggest station on the route. Piled on piles and piles of people. Right, it's now busy. We got to Rochdale. It was even more busy there. It was just horrendous. You got people queuing all the way down the aisles. You got people stood in the doorways. Not really any room to really move. So it was quite bad. But unfortunately, if you're gonna ride down the Calder Valley line, or to be honest, really any of Northern's major routes, if I'm going to be completely honest, that's just what you've got to expect, overcrowding, because they still run 2 to 3, sometimes 4 at a stretch carriage trains, and in my opinion, and in lots of other people's opinions, 2, 3 carriages are not good enough. Okay, maybe on a quieter route, fine, but you're running 3 carriage trains, 4 carriage in this instant. You're running 4 carriage trains on Leeds to Manchester runs. That's not good enough. You need more carriages. Just sort it out, please, Northern. Yeah, thank you.
I quite enjoyed that. That was a nice little moan there, actually. But that's it. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.